Hello, my name is Neon. I'm a novelist and I love comics. So I've been ranking Japanese manga, not anime. This video, we're not gonna talk about specific manga genres. We're gonna talk about two mangas that I believe have the best drawing. With the best drawing, we're gonna have some big names today. However, is drawing important in manga storytelling? No shit, it's important. We don't want to read a novel written by a 5-year-old or a movie with terrible CGI, like the Berserk movie. So why would we want to read a comic with terrible drawing? So what manga do you think has the best drawing? I know how much I praise the details in Berserk. I know how much I praise the clarity in Murata's One Punch Man remake. But in fact, I prefer realism in manga, like The Climber. So speaking of realism, I think there is no surprise that Vagabond is gonna be on the list today. Takehito Inoue, Vagabond, A tier. Vagabond, only an A tier? I know you think it's undoubtedly an S tier manga, but I did put some personal taste in the ranking. Still, even if it's not S tier in my personal taste, it is like the highest A tier. Vagabond is about Miyamoto Musashi, who lives in 17th century sword culture of Japan, intending to be the strongest samurai. He trains and proves himself by challenging other warriors. But is that all there is to life? To be the strongest? Not only do I think this manga has the best art, I've read many meaningful manga, but Vagabond, this one affected me so much, so versatile, so impactful. It discusses the fundamental idea of being invincible, which it means nothing. Then, does proving himself by slaying other samurais mean anything? Human life is insignificant in front of the wilderness, and life is fragile. Being a brutal, eager young warrior cannot solve starvation, but being disciplined, composed, and a thoughtful man can rescue an entire village. Even if you don't like this kind of story, read it. Treat it as a stoic, unruffled lesson. I can guarantee you, it will give you some useful insights. After years of practice in drawing slam dunk, Takehito really accumulated enough experience that the first panel we see from Vagabond is unbelievable. Look at those creases on the blanket. I'm gonna cry, especially after knowing what Otsu and Musashi have gone through. It's unreal. Out of all the arguments I've made for any manga, the drawing of Vagabond is one you can never argue. However, the storyboarding can be a little bit confusing sometimes. Although it does get very good at the 1 vs 70 Yoshioka students, the storyboarding at the beginning is a little hard to perceive. And sorry, the comedy in this manga sometimes look wrongly placed. Sometimes it breaks the flow of the plot, but it doesn't happen a lot. Some comedy that Takehito inserted actually makes an intense and serious scene artistic, having abstract ways to convey meaningful things. So it's all about pacing, not breaking the law of action. And by action, I mean plot progressing, not the conventional action. Speaking of conventional action, I think the action is why I think the pacing is a little slow. 7 chapters for one fight with Inshin Hosen. Striking, dodging, blocking. It's just not really exciting, but at least there are some good dialogues and monologues. But the Yagyo art fight scene is both long and filled with repeated dialogues. For example, Musashi's opponents are repeatedly fighting, pausing, commenting, "Damn, Musashi is good." We know Musashi is good with seeing enough of his practical skills. 1 or 2 comments about his strength is enough, but Yagyo art got a little boring because the comments got a little unrelenting. This 6-chapter long fight could easily be showcased in 2 chapters. Other than the fight scenes, everything's pacing is spot on. Kojiro's story is absolutely amazing. Fatherhood, talents, and flaws. Kojiro's story had everything. And no, this is not a gallery art. This is a manga panel, and it's freaking majestic. Speaking of flaws, plot, and pacing, Matahachi is my favorite character in this manga. The character development that he had gone through is no less than Musashi finding meaning in life. Matahachi is a jerk, a lying prick, a man with no honor, stealing other people's identity. He's a coward, running away from problems. But this is a great example of why the character archetype, every man, is crucial. He has an ambition he cannot live up to. He has no prowess in anything other than lying. He humiliates those he betrayed because he is too craven to admit that he feels sorry. The character archetype, every man, don't just relieve the tension in constant fictional actions, but audience also hates this kind of character because we feel related to them. Cannot live up to your ambition, fleeing from troubles, lying to comfort yourself. How many of you have experienced what Matahachi have experienced? Because I know I have. And while characters have the worst flaws, the chances to develop are the greatest. Matahachi does not switch a goal and work towards it. He starts by fixing his mistakes, because like every normal human being, that is the first but also the biggest step we can take. And then he works towards a new goal, using his gifted lying ability, which is his openness to speak and improvise. He helps Kojiro in communicating. Vagabond is one of my favorite manga of all time. Some comedy and the pacing don't really fit my personal taste. Regardless, the plot, the characters are flawless. The art quality, my favorite of all time. I've seen so many set manga that have made countless people cry. Hunter x Hunter, Planet, Made in Abyss, so many emotional movies and novels that I sort of got immune to sadness, but not depression. When I read this manga, known to be the most depressing manga of all time, but for some reason I interpreted it as the saddest manga. And when I read it, I was like, this isn't so bad. And then I couldn't fall asleep for 3 days because her face kept appearing in my head. Yunio Asano, Goodnight Punpun, A tier. The bird you see here is a human boy called Punpun, and these are his parents. His uncle, Eiko Tanaka, Sachi Nanjo, and this is also Punpun's parents. His uncle, Eiko Tanaka, Sachi. I'll make this quick because I don't really want to recall too much from the story. I won't go to my usual arguments in manga reviews. I won't really talk about the plot because it discusses several themes in a realistic way, and it's hard to say what is the general premise. Goodnight Punpun, very briefly, is about Punpun's traumatic childhood. Growing into an adult, Punpun's obsessive love for Eiko makes him a coward, gives him a strong desire to be loved and strong desire in sex. It makes him depressed, isolated from others. Even with others' help, even with a potential new love, it doesn't help Punpun. Is it realistic that someone will be so corrupted because he lost a simple childhood love? I've seen many comments, especially in the Chinese Punpun community, that said Goodnight Punpun is a very ordinary story, and it's not even that depressing. In some way, I agree, but let me explain. Take a look at this comment. The commenter basically says how he had also experienced what Punpun experienced, that this manga is nothing special. Yes, exactly like he said, he has experienced some things that Punpun has experienced. I agree, because I've also experienced what Punpun has experienced, some of them. Tragedy is the loss of good things. This is what I disagree with. The loss of good things, like losing 600 friends from the eclipse, like watching your best friend being tormented. Yes, they are sad, they are tragic, but the sense of depression to me is when the classmates call a girl I love a slut and make fun of her. I'm too craven to stand up for her. Instead, I awkwardly laugh and agree with my classmates. Living alone in an apartment, and with love comes hatred. I hear the couple fighting through the cheap and vulnerable wall. And then they start to make love. Because again, with love comes hatred. And these scenarios are what kept me up at night. It's not because we've experienced what Punpun has experienced that the story is not depressing. It's exactly because we've experienced what Punpun has experienced that makes the story so damn depressing. If you still don't think it is, then you're probably pretty genuine, very optimistic, very pure, which I really hope you do, because if you're not, then you're probably deceiving yourself too much that it's honestly worse than Punpun. Enough of the plot and theme. Let's talk about the drawing, and because that's what this video is about. Goodnight Punpun is the second most creative story I've seen. The first is The Climber. Punpun literally turns into different forms based on what he feels. Punpun feels detached from the society, he turns into a pyramid. Punpun feels corrupted, he turns into a monster. There's a symbolism, metaphors. What we usually only see in literature are brought into drawings. When Punpun is a kid, everything feels exaggerated. Things move a little slower, inward, when he's an adult. Using literary devices help us understand reality in creative ways. A book without any writing skills, any literary devices, it's just painstaking to read. So, if you still don't believe that drawing is crucial in manga, drawing is what conveys and helps us understand the story. How can it not be important? People say the pacing of Goodnight Punpun is too slow. I think it's perfect, but in between the main story is an almost irrelevant story of Pegasus' cult, which Punpun's childhood friends are a part of, Seki and Shimizu. First of all, Pegasus' cult is trying to save humanity from extinction. That's very unclear in the story because Pegasus is crazy and the audience think he's just a psychopath. I think the only good thing about this side story is the codependency between Seki and Shimizu, which I love their story. But Pegasus himself doesn't really add anything to the story. Sure, maybe because of his presence, Punpun's life began to look good. Maybe Pegasus did save the world by changing the direction of destructive comets and meteors. I just don't think the evidence conveyed. And I can say that because I've seen so many Reddit posts and so many YouTube videos talking about how Pegasus' story is completely nonsense and unnecessary. Even though the author drew many abnormal things, but the story is still set in a realistic world. So if we're going to introduce Pegasus as a literal supernatural prophet, I don't think we need him to act so damn abstract, because it's only making this more confusing. Imagine a psychopath acting like this on the street, and he performs a mass suicide, the cult burning themselves to death. And the audience almost have no idea what happened, except for a group of comets sliding across the sky. And then the author says Pegasus actually saved the world by the suicide. I don't know, man, it's sketchy as hell. I think if we completely focus on his story, it's fine. Or if he isn't so psychotic and abstract, it's fine. But as how it's portrayed, I don't like it. And that literally brought this S-tier Punpun story into an A tier, because I think Punpun's main story is almost perfect. And at the end of the day, I just want to say, I like Sachin more than Echo. She is a beautiful character, and I want more people to talk about her instead of Echo. Also, Mimura is such an underrated character. He's written so well. All of Punpun's friends are so well written, and people only talk about Echo and not Punpun's friend. I don't understand why. Guys, pay tribute to these side characters that are beautifully written. Well, instead of drawing, we mostly talked about the themes instead of drawing in this video, because drawing is what I personally suck at. But still, manga stories are carried out by the drawing, framing, and storyboarding. It's crucial. So stop neglecting the drawing and say the story is all you need. It's a shame that I cannot talk about the drawing better, but Vagabond and Goodnight Punpun, I believe, have the best art. Since we mostly talked about theme today, why don't I just title the video The Best Manga with the Best Themes? Because there are two other manga that I believe convey their themes even better. Next manga video, I'll come back with two other manga that convey the most influential themes in the most effective ways. That's it for the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.